according to the Shabaka stone relic, which dates back between circa 2649 to 2150 BCE. Explains the Memphite creation theology version of the Egyptian creation story, which states, Ptah is pure consciousness as the principal emanation of the unseen supreme being. It goes on to say that from the remaining primordial none, the following pairs of principles that govern the natural world emerged as part of Atum. 1. None, and Nonit, the above, and below. 2. Ha, and Hau Het, infinite, and finite. 3. Kuk, and Kauket, darkness and light, and 4. Amun, or, Amun and, Amaunet, the seen, and the unseen. There is 8 principles that govern the natural order. These 8 deities are created when Atum divides itself into other deities made up of a total of 4 pairs. 1. Shu, is air. 2. Tefnut, is moisture. 3. Jeb, is earth, and 4. Nut, is sky, who are said to have given birth to 4 other gods. 5. Osiris, the god of omnipotence and omniscience. 6. Isis, wife of Osiris, female principle. 7. Seth, the opposite of good. 8. Nephthys, female principle in the unseen world. And 9, if you count Nabu, whom is not listed on the Shabaka stone as the intellectual wisdom of consciousness. When it comes down to Anu, Egyptian religion and science, the royalty had their own way of keeping the bloodline 100% pure. But this happened in a different way, you would think. They basically ended up with this simple model. Matriarchal. The divine ruler's mother must be from the great house Upper Egyptian bloodline. The father, however, could be from anywhere. The womb that created the king is the only thing that mattered. This in return is called the Holy Grail, which is the holy womb amongst this matriarchal family tree. The Christian Bible may call it Genesis, and add false unverifiable characters, but the rules of etymology calls it for what it truly is. Genesis, root word, the generation of Isis. Israel root name, Israel is, Ra, and, El, Sumerian name for Enki. From Nut and Jeb, to the deities, Osiris, Isis, Seth, Nephthys and Nabu were born, and from generations after that, their energy and bloodline lives on through their most basal descendants, starting with the first man, and the first woman, the so-called Adam and Eve. I will list, not mine thoughts but official scientific DNA data, that will prove who the rightful patrilineal and matriarchal lineages of God and mankind alike. Starting with Eve, mitochondrial matriarchal human lineage L type. Haplogroup L0 arose between about 200 and 130 Kya, near about the same time as L1, before the beginning of the Eemian. It is associated with the peopling of southern Africa, after about 140,000 years ago. Its subclades are L0D and L0K. Both are almost exclusively restricted to the Khoisan of southern Africa, but L0D has also been detected among the Sanda people of Tanzania, which suggests an ancient connection between the Khoisan and East African speakers of Click languages. Haplogroup L0F is present in relatively small frequencies in Tanzania among the Sanda people who are known to be older than the Khoisan. L0A is most prevalent in Southeast African populations, 25% in Mozambique, and L0B is found in Ethiopia. Haplogroup L1 diverged from L at about 140,000 years ago. Its emergence is associated with the early peopling of Africa by anatomically modern humans during the Eemian, and it is now mostly found in Bantu and semi-Bantu speaking West African populations. Haplogroup L5 was formerly classified as L1E, but is now recognized as having diverged from L1 at about 120 Kya. It is also mostly associated with pygmies, with highest frequency in Booty pygmies, from eastern Central Africa at 15%. Haplogroup L2 diverged from L1, 4, and 6 L2 at about 90 Kya, associated with the peopling of East-West Africa. As a result of the Southeast Bantu migration, it is now spread throughout central sub-Saharan Africa, at the expense of the previously more widespread L0, L1 and L5. Haplogroup L6 diverged from L3, L4 and L6 at about the same time, 90 Kya. It is now a minor haplogroup with distribution mostly limited to the Horn of Africa and southern East Africa. Haplogroup L3 diverged from L3 and L4 at about 70 Kya, likely shortly before the southern dispersal event out of Africa migration, possibly in East Africa. The mtDNA of all non-Africans is derived from L3, divided into two main lineages, M and N. Haplogroup L4 is a minor haplogroup of East Africa that arose around 70 Kya but did not participate in the out-of-Africa migration. The haplogroup formerly named L7 has been reclassified as a subclade of L4, named L4A. Now, let's look at the so-called Adam patrilineal Y chromosome lineage. There are two most distinct basal Y chromosome lineages, which were haplogroup A and haplogroup BT. Haplogroup A is found at low frequencies in parts of Africa, but is common among certain hunter-gatherer groups. Haplogroup BT lineages represent the majority of African Y chromosome lineages and virtually all non-African lineages. Y chromosomal Adam was represented as the root of these two lineages. Haplogroup A and haplogroup BT represented the lineages of Y chromosomal Adam himself and of one of his sons, who had a new SNP. The two most basal lineages of haplogroup A, A0 and A1 prior to the announcement of the discovery of haplogroup A00 in 2013, have been detected in West Africa, Northwest Africa and Central Africa. Cruciani, 2011, suggests that these lineages may have emerged somewhere in between Central and Northwest Africa. Scazzari, 2012, also supported the hypothesis of an origin in the northwestern quadrant of the African continent for the A1b and A0 haplogroup. By the definition of haplogroup A, as non-BT, it is almost completely restricted to Africa, though a very small handful of bearers have been reported in Europe and Western Asia. Haplogroup A's oldest subclades are exclusively found in central northwest Africa, where the patrilinear ancestor of modern humans is believed to have originated. The clade has also been observed at notable frequencies in certain populations in Ethiopia, as well as some pygmy groups in Central Africa, and less commonly Niger-Congo speakers, who largely belong to the E1b1a clade. Haplogroup E, in general, is believed to have originated in northeast Africa, and was later introduced to West Africa from where it spread around 5,000 years ago to Central, Southern, and Southeastern Africa, with the Bantu expansion. In a composite sample of 3,551 African men, haplogroup A had a frequency of 5.4%. The highest frequencies of haplogroup A have been reported among the Khoisan of southern Africa, Beta Israel Ethiopians, and Nilo-Saharans from Sudan. In North Africa, haplogroup is largely absent. Its subclade A1 has been observed at trace frequencies among Moroccans. Recent population movements from West Africa change the pre-existing population Y chromosomal diversity in Central, Southern and Southeastern Africa, replacing the previous haplogroups in these areas with the now dominant E1b1a lineages. Traces of ancestral inhabitants can be observed today in these regions.
Sir, that there will come a time when black people wake up and become intellectually independent enough to think for themselves, as other humans are intellectually independent enough to think for themselves. Then the black man will think like a black man, and he will feel for other black people. And this new thinking and feeling will cause black people to stick together. And then at that point, you'll have a situation where when you attack one black man, you are attacking all black men. And this type of black thinking will cause all black people to stick together. And this type of thinking also will bring an end to the brutality inflicted upon black people by white people. And it is the only thing that will bring an end to it. No federal court, state court, or city court will bring an end to it. It's something that the black man has to bring an end to himself.